Do you want to hear a good review of this movie? A review that explores the themes, that explores the cinematography, explores the values and the color temperature and how all that applies to the quality of this movie? And do you want to know what I think about this movie? Well, watch this review and find out. I'm in Salad and I saw Emilia Pérez. It is written and directed by Jacques Aoudad. If I pronounced that wrong, my apologies. If you haven't seen this movie, I will spoil it for you. This is requested by Tony from Hack the Movies. He also reviewed this movie also as well too. Thank you. On with the review. This primarily takes place in Mexico City. Get your subtitles on because this is entirely in Spanish. There's some English, but it's mostly in Spanish. Who are the people involved? We're following Rita. She's a struggling defense attorney, and she actually got a guy who's guilty of murder, innocent. Immediately shows how struggling she is and how desperate she is for a job, to the point where she's like, well, I know this person's guilty, but I'm gonna represent them anyway. But I'm also not a lawyer. Her next client literally kidnaps her and asks, what if I give you $2 million? His name is Juan, aka Manitas. People mostly call him Manitas. He has a proposition. Can you get somebody to do the gender transformation surgery for me? By the way, I've been doing estrogen for 2 years now. I should also mention, this is a musical, there's a lot of singing. I like Rita's singing. She's a good singer. I like how elaborate and colorful the performances are. I think they're a little bit too long, and I think they happen too frequently. But that's just because I don't like musicals. If you like musicals, you might like this movie more than I did. So if you made it this far, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's continue. Manitas becomes Emilia. Emilia transfers her entire family to Switzerland and then fakes the death of Manitas and lives on life. 4 years later, Emilia and Rita bump into each other, and Rita's like, oh, hi. And there's immediate tension there because the entire room goes black. It's just them two. They're in the spotlight. They're confronting each other for the first time. Emilia's like, oh, hey, can you help me see my children that I haven't seen in 4 years? And I faked my death, but how am I going to see my children? Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pretend to be a rich cousin of their father and then just be really rich. And my previous wife, which I guess now would be my widow wife, ex-wife, what would that be called? She's immediately suspicious and is like, no, that's the correct response. I'm just thinking the entire time, oh boy, the mistake here was wanting to go see your children because you ruined everything you had going for you. You specifically chose to do running away from your family. I mean, you could just transition and stay with your family, but you did this specifically because you knew they would not accept it. So why would you? I know it's human to want to go back, but I'm saying it's a tactical flaw. It's not good thinking. That's how you get killed, and eventually she does get killed, but stick around. Let me tell you how she gets killed, because you're not going to believe it. Emilia does a really cool thing, though. Emilia starts a non-profit, so the wives of the people killed in the cartel, they can identify the bodies. Good, it gives closure. And I like that. That was humane. But the people that Emilia trusts, they're from her previous life. And it goes to show that her judgment, her choice in people, the people she hangs out around, even though she's changed her gender, she has not changed her personality. All estrogen does is just makes you cry more and like gives you titties. It doesn't like change the core of your personality. Rita is like, hey, why are you trusting these people to run your non-profit? Emilia's like, oh, everything's fine. It'll be okay. It's all good. Forgot to mention Emilia's ex-wife's name. Her name is Jessie, and Jessie has a new boyfriend / fiance and now almost husband, Gustavo. And Jesse's talking about, oh, we're gonna get married and so he can have my kids and all that fun jazz. And at that mention, what an emotional idiot. You have all the money in the world and you are so stupid with it, and to compromise who you are You're trying to hide that you're dead, and pretend to be the sister of your now dead husband. It should be obvious that, oh, that person, why are they so invested in me calling my kids would be my kids, unless, oh, that must be my husband transitioned into a woman who is acting emotionally to that fact. That's like the only... People don't think like that. I understand, I get it. But I'm thinking as an audience person, like, man, how is this not a red flag? But also, she didn't immediately recognize Emilia, even though it would be like the same facial structure and all that fun jazz. Maybe a little bit rounder because of the estrogen. I don't know what estrogen does to the bones once you apply estrogen to already set bones. But I'm still like, you have like a really similar facial structure. Your eyes don't move, your nose doesn't move, your mouth doesn't move, your hairline might move. I don't know. Your fundamentals would not change to a degree. Maybe your hair does have a lot to do with how you perceive a person. Look, I was like a brunette 6 months ago, and I look completely different than me being a blonde. And I haven't done anything at all except for like bleach my hair. That's literally all we've done, and I look like a completely different person. So I guess I understand. But this moment where this lady is pushing you over mentioning your children, being like, oh, it's my children. I'm just like, that's not like a red flag. But of course, she reacts sanely. She takes her children and runs away. You don't lose how you react to things. Like, you make active decisions, no matter the gender in which you are. Emilia, she's like, okay, I'm gonna threaten Gustavo. You can't leave Mexico. You know what they do? They kidnap Emilia. And then they're like, okay, we're gonna ask Rita for ransom money. Oh yeah, we're gonna send Rita a couple of her chopped off fingers. We're gonna do that and send it to her. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I love the end because it's so dramatic. It's completely tonally different from the beginning. I feel like the beginning was very happy, merry-go-lucky. And, you know, the beginning of movies are like that. It's to set apart the status quo from the climax of what's happening. I was not expecting this to happen. Emilia's like, I'm your husband. I just faked my death. I'm a woman now. And she's like, what? And Gustavo's like, what is going on? You know, they get into this big fight. And they get into a big fight while driving. This is why you don't get into a big fight while driving, by the way, because a lady can just take the wheel and swerve everybody off the road and kill everybody, and that's exactly what happens in this movie. If you're going to have an argument, pull off to the side, please. Arguing's fine. Just don't do it while driving, because that'll endanger you, that'll endanger the other people on the road. PSA. Rita is left with the children of Emilia and being like, okay, I guess I'll just take you in. And the movie ends on like the celebration parade tribulation of like the diversity and acceptance. But I think it's really stark and dramatic in contrast. Like how we have this really celebrating parade thing at the very end. And this terrible thing, 3 people dead at once in a car accident. And they're all your friends, and you all knew them, and now you have to take care of their children. That's terrifying, and that's terrible. And then bam, boo-da-boo-da-boo-da-boo. I don't like the musical aspect, but I do think the core theme of this movie has to deal with no matter how much money you have, because Rita, she didn't change either as like the core person. Like, she changed a little bit aspects of her based on how much money she had, but like her core sense of what right and wrong is and like trusting people and her judgment in people did not change. She just accepted money offers because she was desperate, but now she doesn't have any desperate need to grab money because she's in a desperate need. She can identify a character. She can identify good character versus bad character much better than Emilia can. And Emilia herself is kind of a seedy character. She was a mob boss of the cartel. Like, you have to be a certain type of person in order to be the mob boss of a cartel. you have to be a certain type of person, and that doesn't change depending on whether you have testosterone. I said testosterone. Your personality is not going to change when you're an adult, whether you have estrogen or testosterone flowing through your veins. That stuff matters more when you're growing up, but as an adult, that's all set. I'm not a huge fan of Emilia Pérez's performances, personally. When it comes to the singing, when it comes to the acting, they're both believable. Emilia and Rita are both great actresses. I feel like a lot of the movie was just these two women plus a lot of backup dancers, and then the two women plus whoever they're involved with at the time during the scene, whether it's somebody they're related to or like a coworker of them. It's them talking. It's a very talkative movie, but singing because it's a musical. I don't like the songs. I'm not a huge fan of the plot personally, just because the pacing is weird. I feel like the pacing at the first third of the movie ramped up to this idea. Okay, we got this person transitioning. Okay, cool. And what does that person do for the rest of the movie? They prove that just because you transition into a woman, that doesn't change the contents of your character. Emilia keeps making mistakes that ultimately lead to her death. But she was happy for the 4 years that she was a woman, so that's good. I'm glad that she was happy though. Another theme is why have all of this money? Emilia still has access to a ton of money, so this less so applies, but why have access to social power, social security, financial security? Why have access to all that when you're not happy, you're not like fully expressing yourself? Because all of that material stuff doesn't matter if your soul isn't enriched. So Emilia risked it all to be happy. And even though she sacrificed seeing her family, she waited 4 years to reunite with her family. And in her attempts to reunite with her family, that's where it all went wrong. To reconnect with the new life with the old, try to connect it, because of course Emilia is human and she wants to see her seed. She has an emotional connection to her children, so I understand the human urge. I think overall there's a good message, but the execution I feel is too clanky, too long, and I don't like the back 2/3 of the movie, just because its pace is so much slower than it was at the first third of the movie. What do you think of this movie? Let me know in the comments below. Oh yeah, also the cinematography is great. I like all the shots. They're all really creative, really unique. It's really hard to do choreography, so that was done well. And overall, it was produced well. So I gotta give this movie a solid 6 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one. The platform really likes that. If I haven't reviewed it on the channel, there's a chance I haven't even seen it at all. So you can get them Patreon requests and $20 dinos for one movie review for 1 month at patreon.com/ASEpresents. You can also help support your daily grindiness by going to autisticboobs.com. And until next time, mint salad saw. I'll see you later. My sour croutons and bacon bits. This is Emilia Pérez.